wisdom. So we have, even right there...
What's his name?
This is an emergency transmission from FEMA Region 6 in occupied North America.
There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the info war.
What we're on the verge of is World War III, thermonuclear World War III. And that's the big problem we have to try to defeat. Now, there are other problems that come in as subsidiary features of this problem. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as Obama remains president, we're in danger of being involved in a matter of, a few weeks or even days of thermonuclear war globally. That's where we are. And, my interest here on this is partly just inside the United States itself. This presidency is destroying our nation. And it's getting us into a thermonuclear war, which we want no part of, and which our real military people want no part of either. There's no reason for a thermonuclear war. As a matter of fact, it will actually cause the extinction of the human species or something like that. When the United States fell under the influence of certain presidents, such as George W. Bush Jr. and Obama, we were dealt the dirtiest hand ever occurred. And this has something to do with the reasons why Bill Clinton was framed up. And it was a frame up, but that's a whole story in itself. But when he left office, we lost Glass-Steagall law. And that was the first thing that was done. And the Glass-Steagall has destroyed the U.S. economy ever since. It's been getting worse and worse and worse. Now, our objective should be to get our Glass-Steagall law and not have ourselves being run by the British Empire through the Wall Street. And the Wall Street gangsters are the real inside problem here. And Obama's nothing, he's a stooge. He's not really the president. He's a president in name, but he's a stooge for these international interests. The world has been divided in terms of power between two regions of the planet. One is the transatlantic region of the power, which goes into Europe. Then you get the area from Belarus on toward Asia, and apart from some terrorist areas in the Eurasian region, that's the alignment. And so therefore you have the British Empire, and Obama's nothing but a stooge for the British Empire. And Wall Street is the key element here. Wall Street is essentially a British intelligence operation. It's a financial one. And it's the one that's ruined the United States. So what happens is the thing has come to the point that Wall Street and Britain are about to go bankrupt. That is the use of bailout as a policy, which was done actually started with young Bush and continued with Obama. But bailout has ruined the U.S. economy hopelessly. Now, we could cancel bailout, but that would require a decision to do that. But the point is, what's coming now is bail-in, which is the next stage of bailout. Bail-in would cause, in and of itself, a total, immediate collapse of the U.S. economy.
And for those that don't know, they've already done it in Cyprus and other areas. They're saying they're going to take money out of our bank accounts to prop up the zombie bank, something he warned of a decade ago. So what I'm saying, again, to Lyndon LaRouche, World War II vet, you name it, just amazing to have him here with us. There's so few World War II vets left, much less one so eloquent. Lyndon, what I'm trying to get at here with you is I understand that it's a bigger global issue. But as the world depression accelerates, you're going to have these uprisings. Then the Anglo-American British Empire is going to try to use those to foment even more breakdown. So what I'm saying is geopolitically, why are you saying it's a danger of thermonuclear war?
Because it is. I'll explain it to you. What you have is you have a division of the world now into two parts. The Anglo-American system, the transatlantic system, the Northern Hemisphere in particular, and that is bankrupt. The United States, under its present system, is totally, hopelessly bankrupt. And what the bankruptcy has been the buildup of this bailout system, especially from 2008. from that point on was the real point where they became it under young Bush, normally young Bush. And it got worse. Under Obama, it's become much worse. Now, what's happened is the British Empire, and the British are an empire. They're not just Britain. They control practically all of Africa. They control, under the Euro system, they control most of Western Europe. And that's the kind of situation. So you have a situation where the world system is divided into two sectors. One, in the Northern Hemisphere, is the transatlantic region. And the United States is now a puppet of the British Empire under the current president. If we could get back to a real president, opposed to young Bush and Obama, we could probably get our nation back. But the point is the investment system of the British Empire, including Wall Street itself, is such that they are about to go bankrupt immediately. They're on the verge of it. Now, what their option is knowing that the bail-in is coming on. And they do know that bail-in means a general collapse of the U.S. economy. I mean, a monetary collapse, not a breakdown, not a depression, a collapse. So well, their object is to say, well, look, the Eurasian sector of the world, that is the wealthier part, Russia, China, India, and so forth, these parts are growing, whereas the United States has been declining economically, in physical economic terms, since essentially the time that John F. Kennedy, was ousted from office, assassinated. Since that time, in the start of the Indochina War, we have actually, as MacArthur warned about this thing, we have actually been in a process of decline. There has been never any economic recovery in reality in the United States. We have the two leading states of the United States, Texas and California, are going into destruction. Now, there's another little complication in this, and there always are complications. In this case, the problem is that the sun, our solar system, has gone through what's called a quiet period. That means that the radiation being supplied to move Earth is less than it was before. And under these conditions, we have the greatest drought in the western part of the United States in probably 500 years. The state of Texas is dying. The industries are being shut down. The same thing is true in California and the other states between. But you take California and Texas, if you knock them out of the U.S. economy, you're going to have a total collapse in the U.S. economy. So therefore, we have a great crisis. It's caused by the policies which have gone through under certain presidents, particularly since Bill Clinton was taken out of office. The rate of collapse has reached such a point, and the hyperinflation under the bailout system has reached such a point that it's now about to blow up. And bail-in will be the trigger which causes an instant collapse. Now, what's the solution then from the standpoint of London and people like that? The point is that while the western part of the world, the transatlantic region, has been collapsing in physical economy for all this period, ever since Jack Kennedy was assassinated. At the same time, gradually, in recent times, the Eurasian part, like Russia, China, India, so forth, are coming up. So therefore, the plan is to try to crack the balance of forces between the transatlantic region and the Eurasian system. Now, what that means is if they could get into this one area, which is in the southern part of the Ukraine, and if they could knock that out, then by using U.S. forces based in that area, they could knock out the Ukraine area. And that knocking out Russia by an outflanking operation. Now, what this puts us on the edge of a thermonuclear war. The war is between two forces now, the transatlantic region and the Eurasian region. The Eurasian region includes nations like China, 1.4 billion people, and a powerful nation. India, 1.2 or so billion people, and so forth. And Russia is not insignificant. So when you take these forces together and you say that the British Empire, which thinks it's controlling the entire planet, which is stealing our oil, stealing our food in the United States, and doing all these things to us, that this process means that the only way that the transatlantic region, that is the British Empire in particular, could survive is by gobbling up and destroying and conquering Eurasia. Now, when you think about what the military forces are in China, thermonuclear forces, in India, in Russia, you think about the similar kinds of forces in Europe and in the United States. We have the greatest assembly of thermonuclear death ever conceived on this planet. And what's coming to a point is the entire planet is going into this war. My concern is to stop that war. And what these Nazis are doing, these Ukrainian Nazis are doing, is simply the intended detonator of a global thermonuclear war. The surge of revolt against this process is in process. We have not won the war, but we're fighting it. We are fighting to save the United States and to prevent a thermonuclear war. Now, if you know what a thermonuclear war is, because this is not a nuclear war, this is a thermonuclear war with modern weapons and modern capabilities. That the minute that war goes to place, and both sides of the power, the transatlantic side and the Eurasian side, they have the greatest concentration of thermonuclear power you ever imagined. And if they go to war, they're going to go to full. And there probably will be no long-term survivors of an hour and a half of a thermonuclear war.